Hey, my name is Ketan. I'm the host for the podcast Selling Around the Globe, powered by Said Commerce, making e-commerce accessible to everyone. This is my weekly solo podcast where I talk about all the tricks and tips, paving a roadmap for you to start selling on prominent marketplaces and make money online. In this episode, you'll learn about Etsy, a marketplace for handicraft and arts, and everything that you need to know to start your Etsy shop and make your first sale. Alright listeners, so here I'm back with episode 2 of Selling Around the Globe. In the previous episode, we talked about what Etsy Marketplace is and why selling over Etsy should be the right choice for you. If you still have any confusion regarding Etsy, you can listen to episode 1 first and be back here. So without any delay, let's dive and look at the things that you need to do before opening an Etsy shop over Etsy Marketplace. Well, the first thing that you need to do before opening your Etsy shop is choosing an item to sell. I mean, you cannot just randomly come up with any product and sell it, right? In fact, in a research, I found out that more than 80% of products that are consumed today are different from what used to get consumed 5 years ago. You see, this means that the demand changes with time. And you need to figure out what's exactly in the demand right now in order to sell your product. So digging further deeper, I've come up with several set of easy questions that might help you decide what to sell and what your product really, if your product is really worth selling and will it sell. So you can categorize them in 2 categories. One, the questions to ask yourself. I mean, you'll be asking these questions before deciding the product. And the other one, to ask from your consumer's perspective. You'll be answering the same question by yourself, but you need to keep in mind your consumer's perspective there, right? So first, talking about the questions that you need to ask yourself. Do you like the product or service you are planning to sell? I mean, how much personally you like your product? It's your product, definitely you will be liking it. But coming onto the grounds, you need to be very sure and very honest that do you really like the product or service that you are planning to sell. Second question can be, can you see yourself getting excited about the product and service? So I hope that when answering the first question, you'll be getting answer to this one as well. So the third question is would you buy it and use it yourself, the product that you are selling? So what can be your need? Would you be buying that product? And fourth question is, would you sell it to your mother, your best friend, or your next door neighbor? I mean, is the product really useful? Is it worth? Is it having the quality? Will you be selling the product? Will you be giving the product to your family members? So this would be the question. And the last question can be the product or service that you intensely desire to bring to the marketplace. I mean, do you really wish to sell this product? See, these self-answering questions will be giving you a base that is your product worth selling or no. And then when it comes to deciding from the customer's point of view, the set of questions change to the first question can be, what does the product achieve, avoid, or preserve for your customer, right? The second one can be, how does the product improve your customer's life or work? See, the product should in any way be making a change, right? So is it the change positive? It should be positive. So you need to ask yourself, how does your product improve your customer's life or work? Third question can be, what kind of consumers will you be selling the product to? This takes us back to the audience research section, where you'll need to do some extensive research about your audience that will be making this product, that will be purchasing this product, right? And the last question can be, do you personally like the customers who will be buying this product? I mean, you need to have empathy with the customers who will be buying this product of yours. So taking yourself to the shoes of your customers, and this could be one good way of doing some extensive audience research. And moreover, once these questions are answered, when it comes to selling over Etsy Marketplace, you also need to decide to choose what kind of handmade product can be sold, at what scale you will be manufacturing it, and several other questions. There are many questions while deciding a product, because this would be one important thing to decide. Well, once you are through with this question answer session of yours, you'll be having a product or service like in your head, right? Maybe you'll be having one product, maybe you might have figured out several products, and it might be in your head now, right? So as an addition to this, you can also, like, it's just I'm telling you to add value here. As an addition, you can also check the best and top selling items over Etsy marketplace to see if your product has enough competition and thus like enough demand. So if the product is in competition, it will be in demand as well. So this is how it goes, right? Okay, so talking about 2019, I have did some like nice R&D. So talking about 2019, the top selling items over Etsy were craft and paper supplies, handmade items like beads, necklaces, wristbands, all of these. And the third popular category was jewelry and clothing, and this was followed by wedding dresses and other accessories, right? So just be really careful when you are selecting a product to sell. In the same queue, listeners, as Etsy also is a nice place to sell vintage products. So if you have a vintage product to sell, you just need to make sure that it is authentic and it is in good state to sell. I mean, it shouldn't be like making so much changes. It should not be in a bad condition. It should be authentic. It should be in a good state to sell. And vintage collectibles like fine china, ornaments, home extras or books, ought to be in a new or previously owned condition without splits, stains, dirts or tears. Toys and clothing maintained in the original packaging are very attractive for the collectors. Well, while selling over Etsy, you need to keep a few things in mind regarding Etsy manufacturing rules as well. Calm down, like it's no rocket science here. See, the manufacturer's location need to be on the product or the packaging, and in that case, the final location of manufacture, it depends upon where the product took its final shape, like where it was finally manufactured. You need to keep that in mind. The next thing that comes up is bucking yourself up for the demands. See, after all this R&D that you did for choosing your product, you'll surely want it to sell in volumes, right? And in that case, you need to be prepared for the huge demands that you will be getting for your product. The preparations for the same includes stocking up your inventory with enough items that you do not go out of stock, and surely you'll need to set up logistics which will be the backbone for your delivery of your products. See, like very simple, you have to know that the buyers, when making a purchase, anticipate that their products will reach them in a set duration of time. So there need to be a limited time frame where you'll be delivering the products to. So for that, you need to be prepared with your inventory and also a flash delivery system to avoid interruptions. Next, listeners, comes up is your store name. Once again, a lot of R&D is required here. What would you like to name your shop? How would you like to be renowned among your buyers? This can be a crucial step because the name of your shop should be unique to stand out among the sellers already present on Etsy marketplace. And like you need to pay attention here. What I'm saying is, so over Etsy, you're creating a brand. So you cannot be careless about it, as I said earlier as well, because your shop name will be your brand. It will be reflecting to worldwide audiences. People will be making choices based upon your brands. The coming era is voice search. And listeners, like in my another podcast, I have also talked about the rise of voice search in the e-commerce, where brand name definitely matters a lot. So listen, you need to be very careful while deciding the name of your Etsy shop. Once you're through this, once you have a name for your shop, you have a product to sell, now is the time for another crucial step, which is setting up your shop policies. I mean, this is even some crucial step. Why? Because you cannot just do this in a sway, as once the shop policies are created, you'll need to deliver as per them, and also you need to stick to them for a long time. However, you may change them at point of time, but making too many modifications in them might cause your buyers to develop like a foggy feeling about your brand, which you will never want. One last thing that you should take care about is tallying up all the expenses. So we are through with the selection of the product, then the naming of the shop, then the shop policies. You need to tally up all the expenses that will incur to you while selling over Etsy marketplace, because see, no one does business for getting in loss, right? So in that case, the last thing you should take care about is tallying up your expenses. After all, it's your business and you won't want to incur losses in that, right? Getting into the calculations, while it costs nothing to start an Etsy shop, you will incur 3 little pitching charges to list your things, execute your business, and pay for preparing, right? The fee to list a thing is only 20 penny for 4 months posting or until your item sells. When selling a thing, Etsy charges 3.5% exchange expense over your deal cost. on the off chance that your item sells for $5, you'll pay a $1.75 exchange expense there. In addition to delivery, you can acknowledge installments through PayPal or Etsy payments. So do some R&D over the expenses too, and be careful and analytical while doing this. Alright, so with all of this setup, now we are really ready to open our brand new Etsy shop. Opening an Etsy shop is really simple, and Etsy has kept the process really simple to be completed within just 5 steps. So now we are at the core of this episode. Now we have done all the R&D required before opening the Etsy shop. Now we are through everything: selection of the product, naming your shop, setting up your policies. You have also calculated the expenses that you will be incurring. Now let's dive straight into how to open an Etsy shop. So the first step is setting up your shop preferences. In this step, you'll need to select a few preferences for your shop. This includes setting up of your shop language, in what language your shop will be dealing in, your home country, and the currency in which you'll want to deal with your customers. So in the same queue, you also need to select how do you want to sell over Etsy. This is some important questions because based upon the choice of yours, Etsy will be giving you more preferences there. So is it your part-time profession or you'll be a full-blown seller there? Well, get them with all of this and you are then good to go. And then the next step comes, which is naming of your shop. So that's where the name that you decided earlier will be used. Fill up your name and Etsy will cross-check if it is a unique name or not. So that's where the name that you decided will be used. Fill up your name and Etsy will cross-check if it is unique or not. A few suggestions will also be given to you based on the names that you A few suggestions based upon the names will also be given by Etsy if your shop name is already taken. So you can mingle upon stuff. It could be any name. Etsy will be giving suggestions and then you can decide if you want to name your shop like that or not. So this would be easy. And once if you have already decided your shop name, so it won't be a tough job, right? So the next step is stocking up your store. This is the time to list your first product. Herein, you'll need to fill up the details of your products. Pay keen attention to this page and fill up all the details asked by Etsy step by step in the very precise manner. Once again, in a very precise manner. In this step, Etsy will also ask you for the images of your products. Make sure that you have high quality images of your products which are taken in sufficient light and they look real life. Remember that a lot depends upon the images that you'll be posting there, you'll be uploading there, because a lot depends upon how your product looks, because it's about handmade art and decor, so it should look aesthetic, right? So listeners, once you are thoroughly done this, now is the time to tell Etsy that how will you receive your payments, how would you want to receive the payments from Etsy. So you need to fill in bank account details where you will like Etsy to pay you for the sales that you make, and then the next step comes where Etsy asks your bank detail from where Etsy will be charging you. So in the fourth step, it was how you will be getting paid from Etsy, and in the last step you need to set up the bank account details through which Etsy will be charging you. So there will be a few charges discussed already about the listings and commissions, so you need to provide your bank details there, right? And voila, this is done. Your Etsy shop is now live. So you see, it was that simple. Now you have a running Etsy store with the product of yours that you listed, and it is ready to be sold. Now tell your friends and neighbors and do some apt marketing strategies for your product and try reaching as many buyers as you can. If you have made your listing SEO optimized, see, we discussed about the Etsy SEO in the episode 1 of Selling Around the Globe. See, we have discussed about the Etsy's SEO in the episode 1 of Selling Around the Globe. So if you have made your listings SEO optimized, chances are that your product will start to rank for a few related keywords in a few weeks already. So you see, here is where Etsy SEO comes in the game that we discussed. In case you have missed the episode of Selling Around the Globe, listeners, you can check it right away to know more about Etsy Marketplace and the benefits and perks Etsy gives to its sellers. So with this, we have come to the end of this episode 2 of Selling Around the Globe, where we discussed all the important things that you need to take care about before starting your Etsy shop. Then we went ahead with this 5-step process of opening up your Etsy shop. So this was it for episode 2 of Selling Around the Globe. Listeners, I'll soon be coming back with another episode of Selling Around the Globe. podcast, we'll be talking more about Etsy Marketplace and the tactics with which you can reach more and more customers and you can enhance your selling business over Etsy. So, comprising this series of podcasts, the episode 1 was why sell on Etsy. Like I told you about how prominent Etsy is. In this episode, we discuss about how you can open your Etsy shop, and then the coming episode will be telling you how the products that you have listed there can reach to more and more audiences. What are the tactics that you need to follow? So you need to stick around, you need to subscribe to this podcast, to wherever you are listening. Our podcast is available over all the prominent podcasting platforms like iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, everywhere. So wherever you get your podcast, make sure you subscribe to this podcast, right? So that's a wrap from my side. Make sure to subscribe the podcast once again, wherever you're listening to it right now. So once you're done with this, people, so see you next week. That's a wrap from my side. All the best.